Few actors these days really compare to the movie stars of old Hollywood, but Amy Adams is an exception. However, Adams wasn't always the most obvious candidate for a career as an actress. Curious about how she became a 6-time Oscar nominee? Here is the stunning transformation of Amy Adams. Amy Adams certainly didn't have a quiet childhood. After moving around due to her father's job in the U.S. Army, Adams and her family settled in Castle Rock, Colorado. Adams was the fourth of 7 children, which, as she shared on Late Night with Stephen Colbert, taught her how to stand out.
That means I got away with a lot. Exactly, right? We were all desperate for attention, let's be honest. One of 7 kids.
In her early years, Adams was brought up in the Mormon Church. As she told The Telegraph, her only memories of the religion are pretty general. She recalled, "The basic do unto others, that was hammered into me, and love." However, Adams' parents divorced when she was 11 years old. After that, she gave up Mormonism and moved in with family friends during high school as her father had sole custody of the children. Unlike many famous actors, Adams wasn't exactly a show-off as a child. In fact, she was pretty private and timid, as she told Parade. "I was not a brave child, everything scared me." She even refused to ride a bike and gave up gymnastics because of her fear of injury. Instead of these adventurous pursuits, Adams turned to the world of books. Apparently, her siblings called her the Dreamer. Adams began with kids' books by Judy Blume, then moved on to more risque material, like a series by John Breton about people with substance addictions who found themselves doing sex work, which she read when she was only 12. Adams also became obsessed with ballet, and at one point she even wanted to become a ballerina. However, she soon found it was, quote, too disciplined and too restrained, as she told Express. And as Adams explained in a chat with Elle, "I'm too muscly, and I didn't have great turnout, you know?"
You are not.
Eventually, Adams discovered her true passion, acting. However, it wasn't until she saw Grease that it really clicked, as she told Parade. "I wanted to be Sandy pretty bad." Funnily enough, one of Adams' first acting jobs was a Grease-inspired bank commercial. Adams continued to become more and more interested in acting as time went on. Her childhood favorites were the musicals, and as Adams told Vanity Fair, she used to love A Chorus Line and all of the works of Andrew Lloyd Webber. She shared, "I was so entrenched in the high drama." Additionally, as Adams told Parade, she later saw famous Hitchcock films and was blown away by the performances of people like Kim Novak. Then, in 1998, Adams was inspired by Cate Blanchett's performance in Elizabeth. Adams stated, "Blanchett sort of set the bar the way that she owned the screen." After spending her childhood immersing herself in dark books and musical theater, Adams finally took the plunge to pursue her dream of embodying her own characters. At 24, she moved to Los Angeles. At first, it wasn't exactly easy, as Adams' first few roles were few and far between. In an interview with Vogue, she said, "To this day, it gives me perspective, but going through it was painful, to say the least." Adams added that she panicked in auditions and meetings and lost the confidence of producers. She continued saying, "I actually almost quit because I was starting not to like who I was." In fact, she was even fired from 2 different shows. And as Adams told The Times, one particularly traumatizing audition was for the musical Rent. She confessed, "I was off pitch, didn't remember the song, and pretty sure that I did the Dirty Dancing dance." Although Adams struggled with self-esteem in her early career, she did have some notable successes. She starred in Drop Dead Gorgeous in 1999 alongside Kirsten Dunst and Denise Richards, and she subsequently appeared on that 70s show Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Smallville, and The West Wing. She even starred alongside Leonardo DiCaprio in Catch Me If You Can. As Adams told The Independent, she now thinks of this period as her, quote, naughty girl phase. Of course, these roles weren't exactly right for Adams. It wasn't until 2004 that she started getting viewed as a more serious actor, and that change only came when she happened to dye her hair for the show Dr. Vegas. As she said at the Times Talk in 2016, "Based on roles that I was getting called in for, people were responding to certain types of characters with me as a blonde, and the minute I went red, it was quirky and fun instead of flirtatious and dumb." After her hair color change, Adams landed the role that would transform her career. In 2005, she played the expectant mother Ashley in Junebug. At the time, Adams thought this may be her final role. As Little White Lies noted, the part showed Adams with an aura of otherworldly innocence. Fortunately for Adams, the movie finally brought her into the limelight. She received an Oscar nomination for her work in Junebug, and she was suddenly one of the most sought-after actresses in Hollywood. It was a dream come true for Adams, who said, Going to the Oscars was definitely a fairy tale moment, walking down that red carpet and realizing that the moment was actually happening and I did not lose my shoe. After Junebug, the offers started rolling in. In the next 5 years, she played a lost Disney princess in Enchanted, the sweet ditzy nightclub singer Delicia in Miss Pettigrew Lives for a Day, and the naive Sister James in Doubt, a film that earned her another Oscar nomination. This phase of Adams' career saw her playing more roles like Ashley in Junebug, young, wide-eyed ingenues. As Adams told The Independent, this is what she calls her innocence phase. Eventually, playing the ingenue got a little boring for Adams. As she told the Sydney Morning Herald, "As I was getting deeper into my 30s, I really wanted to play people who were more confident and who have experienced more, and I've been able to. It's kind of grown as I've grown." Luckily, Adams got the chance to try some darker roles with The Fighter in 2010, American Hustle in 2013, and Nocturnal Animals in 2016. As Adams appeared in more and more big-budget films, she found that she had evolved as an actor and that she had managed to let go of some of her anxieties. In an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, she said, "I realized you can still be a human being and have flaws and still be in movies, and that your flaws are what make you beautiful. I just wanted to do a good job." When Adams had first moved to LA, she had been afraid and self-conscious, bombing multiple auditions. But by 2013, she was far more self-assured. She shared, "I look back sometimes and I've missed her from time to time. There's something to the hunger that informs you and drives you." As Adams explained to the Los Angeles Times, this transformation happened during the filming of Her in 2013. "I'm a harsh critic of myself. I see when I stopped needing to be perfect. I stopped carrying the weight of criticism. I really was so tired of giving a because I just gave so many all the time." Amy Adams first met Darren Lagallo at an acting class in 2001. While Adams eventually became a star, Lagallo was once a little-known actor with a few bit parts to his name. He later became an artist. In 2010, Adams gave birth to their daughter, Aviana. 5 years later, Adams and Lagallo married. Unsurprisingly, Aviana's birth changed a lot about Adams' life, both personally and professionally. The actor told The Guardian, "I definitely feel more raw and more open to empathy, and that helps." She went on to explain that Aviana also forced her to learn to separate work life from home life. And as Adams explained to Little London, her daughter made her reevaluate her approach to work. "It's made an impact in the kind of projects I choose and wanting to play characters that make me happy." A few years after the birth of her daughter, Adams was offered the lead role in the 2016 Denis Villeneuve film Arrival. As she explained to female.com.au, she was initially hesitant to accept the part. She recalled, "I didn't know what I was going to be doing next, and it was at a time where I really wanted to take a break and just be a mom for a while. However, once she read the script, she was hooked. It spoke to me really deeply in the core of who I am, and I felt that I really had to do it. I was really drawn to it." Arrival ended up being one of Adams' biggest successes to date. As Anthony Lane wrote for The New Yorker, "Her gift for sorrow, her strength, and her instinctive sweetness of temper are rolled into one." Aside from a few TV roles in her early career, Adams is best known for her work in films. However, this changed in 2018 when she starred in Sharp Objects, an HBO miniseries about a troubled crime reporter. As The Independent noted, the role marked yet another transition for the actress. With Sharp Objects, she was firmly positioning herself as someone who could tackle truly dark and twisted roles. For Adams, this role was the peak of her, quote, moody and introspective phase. As she told the publication, there is a part of her that connects to these roles. "I don't have the same darkness and depth of internal anger, but that sort of sadness that drives you to be unkind to yourself, I think I have that." Playing such a part certainly wasn't easy either. As Adams told Backstage, her character was covered in self-harm scars. This meant standing in her underwear for up to 3 hours a day while the scars were applied to her body by the makeup team. She shared, "It really fed the character." One thing that Adams is well known for is her specific approach to each role she plays. As she explained to So It Goes, she really began to learn about acting while on the set of her first film, Drop Dead Gorgeous. "I would sit behind the sound cart and they were very generous. They gave me some headphones so I could hear how the director was. I learned all the terminology by hanging out on set, out of the way." Since then, Adams has developed her own unique approach to acting. As author Gillian Flynn told The Independent, Adams, quote, completely immersed herself physically, bodily, mentally into Camille during the filming for Sharp Objects. Adams said her process was like, quote, catching a virus. In other words, she completely transforms and is even a little unrecognizable in between takes. It sounds like this actress likes to dive in headfirst into her roles. After exploring her sad, dark side with sharp objects, it seems that Amy Adams is ready to keep experimenting with darkness in her work. As she told The Independent, her days of being an ingenue are long behind her.
Oh, do it again! Show me!
I don't feel any sense of pride of accomplishment if I'm not being pushed, so I'm interested in anything that will push me. I may succeed, I may fail, but I'll try anything. Adams has even set up her own production company called Bond Group Entertainment, which, as she told the Sydney Morning Herald, will prioritize female stories. She revealed, "It matters to me because I have a daughter, and to see how strong she is in the moment and how outspoken, I would hate to see that voice get quieter. It's the female experience and that point of view that I was to present." It seems like Adams isn't anywhere near slowing down. In fact, in many ways, she's just getting started. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more list videos about your favorite celebrities and reality shows are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.